Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about 3 little oracle decks or affirmation decks I bought myself recently. Now I'm sure you've probably seen some of these around. They're not new. They're these little mini oracle or affirmation decks that Rockpool Publishing has brought out over the last few years. There's quite a wide variety of them available at this point, and I've seen them on and off, and like we've had them at the TS bookshop that I have been working at for the last few years. But it was on my last day at the TS where I wanted to buy myself something with my staff discount as like a little goodbye to the shop. And these just really stood out to me and I couldn't quite pick 1 or 2, so I ended up with 3. And I thought for today's video we could just have a look at these decks together and maybe compare them a little bit and talk about the differences between them. So the first thing you'll notice about these decks is that they all come in this very cute little box. They're a great little pocket size and the top of the box is magnetic. Inside the lid, each of the decks has a little how to use the cards information guide, and there's no little white book, it's just the box and the cards. The titles on each box is foiled and they're just super cute. So let's take a quick look at the Whispering Woods, which is the first deck that I picked up. So the backing on the cards is super cute. It's this lovely image of a fawn sort of curled up resting on the forest floor, and the border around this backing image is the same border that we get on the front of the cards, which has these lovely intertwined vines with some leaves and a little squirrel in the top corner and a rabbit curling up in the bottom. This deck is by Jessica Leigh, and on the front of the box it says Enchanting Secrets from the Forest. Be whisked away with these 40 cards to a place of calm solitude. Take a moment to reflect. Be steered towards and inspired by peaceful voices from the woodland realm. Amidst your daily life, embrace nature and seek solace in the Whispering Woods. The cardstock on this deck actually feels a little bit different from the other 2. The backing is laminated and feels very plastic, but the front of the cards feels a little bit more smooth. These cards are a cream sort of beige color, and in a larger, more decorative font, we get the title of each card, and then underneath that in a simpler font is the sort of the message of the card, the affirmation. In this deck, there is no variation between the artwork from each card. Obviously, you do get a different title and a different message, but other than that, every card looks the same. So it's a very sweet and simple little deck. And I do like that even though a lot of the titles of the cards are very, generic as far as other oracle and affirmation decks I've seen, a lot of the messages do sort of feel quite appropriate to the theme of the Whispering Woods. Like there's a lot of little references and hints to nature and to the woods more specifically, like roots, trees, acorns, branching out, grass, blooming. And I think that works really well to tie the deck together and create a very cohesive experience. We get messages like resilient, stay as strong as evergreen trees. Risk, learn to grow wherever you are planted. Strength, when your roots are deep, you need not fear the storm. Transform, emerge with beauty and grace from your cocoon. Trust, the robin trusts her wings, not the branch she sits on. Uncertainty, the shades of grey within the fog will eventually lift. Wish, make a wish with a dandelion in the wind. And woods, be calm, soothing, mysterious, and full of life. Next up is The Secret Garden, which is also by Jessica Leigh, the same artist and creator of The Whispering Woods. I really like the backing on this one. It looks like it's very cottagecore. It's this little table setting just outside of a cottage window, it looks like, with like wisteria hanging above it. And also there's a little hint of magic here because the teapot is sort of pouring itself. It feels really inviting. I like it a lot. This one says, enchanting messages from quiet spaces. Step into the wonder and mystery of the secret garden. This set of 40 charming cards contains small signs and encouragement imbued with the magic of every corner of the garden. Take refuge from daily life within the secret mazes, strange statues, and fairy gates. As the commotions of the outside world fade away, what secrets will you uncover? The color of these cards is a little bit lighter than the Whispering Woods. I'd say it's more a cream off-white than a beige. And the borders for these cards are very cute. There's sort of vines and some flowers and some mushrooms. And then you'll notice that in the corner, in the bottom left-hand corner, each and every card has its own little image that suits the message. And I think that's a very sweet little touch. I didn't actually notice it at first, but it just feels really thoughtful and makes these cards feel that little bit more special. And again, with this deck, a lot of the titles do feel a little generic for like what I've seen in other oracle and affirmation decks, but I do like how the theme of the deck of the Secret Garden sort of does tie into, especially the messages beneath the titles. There's a lot of references to gardens, to doors, to keys into secret doors, to flowers. Also a few little hints to magical things that remind me of things like Alice in Wonderland. So again, it feels very cohesive. And so for this deck, we get messages like surprises, venture down the rabbit hole. Transform, rise above any situation and become the best version of you. Twilight, surrender to the last hour when the light barely touches the flowers. Wallflower, look for the crack in the concrete to find your way out. Weed, Don't tolerate less than you deserve. Wildflower. Live an uncontrolled life, free to grow anywhere and bound by nothing. Now, before we move on to the third deck, I did want to make you aware of the fact that there are quite a number of cards that are the same or very similar between these two decks, both of which are made by the same artist. And when I say the same, I mean like the title of the card is the same or very, very similar. As for the messages themselves, some of them are quite similar, others differ more. I just wanted to share with you the similarities between these decks so that you can decide if you're interested in them, if you really need both. So there are 40 cards in each deck, and 9 of them stood out to me as being very similar, at least with the titles. So the first example is that there is a change card in each deck. For the Whispering Woods, the message is, falling leaves do not signify the end, but the beginning of a fruitful season. Whereas for the Secret Garden deck, the message is, as with the falling leaves, embrace change. Then we have growth in the Whispering Woods, which says, the tallest oak tree once started as a seedling. Don't be afraid to start something new. And grow in the Secret Garden deck, which says all flowers must grow through dirt. Joy in the Whispering Woods, spread seeds of joy like a wildflower, and no doubt you will revel in the result. And in the Secret Garden, joy, make time for the little things today. Opportunities in the Whispering Woods, unfurl like a fern even without warm sunlight. An opportunity in the Secret Garden, there's no use looking for luck, it arrives at unexpected times. Patience in the Whispering Wood, everything can be accomplished at nature's pace. And in the Secret Garden, wait for the fruit to ripen. Retreat in the Whispering Wood, spoil yourself in the morning mist, breathe in the eucalyptus trees, berries, and wattle. And in the Secret Garden, never underestimate the healing power of a quiet moment. Strength in the Whispering Wood, when your roots are deep, you need not fear the storm. And in the Secret Garden, don't let weeds and thistles cultivate your garden. Surprises in the Whispering Wood says, under the most ordinary stone is an undisturbed garden. And in the Secret Garden, venture down the rabbit hole. Transform in the Whispering Wood, emerge with beauty and grace from your cocoon. And in the Secret Garden, rise above any situation and become the best version of you. So like I said, I just felt they were quite similar, and given that there's 40 cards and 9 of them have the same or virtually the same titles, I felt that was worth pointing out to you. But as you can see through the examples, the messages for the cards are not the same. So it's not overly repetitive in that sense. I just felt like it was still worth pointing out given almost a quarter of the decks have the same cards or the same card titles. So next up I wanted to talk about the Forest Fae deck by Nadia Turner. The backing on this one is very cute. It's kind of like a whirl of vines and leaves and mushrooms. And the cool thing about this deck and why I think it stands out from the others is that each and every card has a different piece of artwork on it. It's not like the other two where, for the most part, the front of the cards are the same. It's just the title and the message that changes. For these cards, we get unique artwork for each and every card. So in that sense, this feels much more like an oracle deck rather than an affirmation deck. Again, there's a title with sort of an affirmation or a message underneath. These, though, aren't your sort of generic oracle card or affirmation card titles like retreat or strength. These are more titles of the being that is represented in the card. And the message is the message that fae or being offers you. And I really like this artwork and the way that the fae-ness of these beings has been captured. A lot of them look kind of humanoid, but also alien or very animal or something just, earthy about them. Some are more strange and fantastical than others, but they're all really interesting and they feel really unique even if they are identifiable as elemental beings or fae. Some of the messages we get in this deck include the Mandragora Mother. Find the secrets hidden in the brambles. The Fairy Harper. Find the words to long-forgotten songs and dance to the music in your soul. The Sentinel. New opportunities shall manifest in unexpected ways. Lady of the Lost. Give to others, treasure life and all its magic. The Old Paths. Walk in unknown territory to see from a new perspective. The Numina. Seek inspiration in twilight wanderings. The Honey Mother. Sometimes the greatest magic lies in the smallest of forms. Fringe Dweller. See with eyes and heart wide open. The Forest Sister. The moon shines brightest after the storm. I really like the production on these cards. I think for the value that you get, because they are quite affordable. You get like a nice box. The cards are really nice and I think well done too. But I will say that on one of my cards from the Forest Fae, the Honey Mother, it's sort of printed a little wonky. And so there is sort of a white strip on both the front and the back of the card. That doesn't bother me too much, but I know that sort of thing might bother some of you. Doesn't bother me so much, but yeah, just wanted to let you know. Overall, I'm really enjoying these decks and I'm glad that I picked them up on a bit of a whim. I do have to say though that I'm a little surprised by which decks I like the most. Originally, it was the Whispering Woods deck that like sort of drew my attention and first started getting me thinking that I might like to purchase one or two of these decks. And then I saw the Secret Garden and I kind of couldn't quite choose between the two of those. And then I saw the Forest Fae. And to be honest, I'm not sure I would have picked up the Forest Fae had I not had a quick look online and seen that the cards are more of an Oracle deck in that each and every card is different artwork. So I ended up not being able to decide. It was my last day at work. I had a good discount. I picked up all three. And now that I've had them in my possession for a couple of weeks and I've been playing around with them, what I've noticed is I am obsessed with this little Forest Fae deck. I do like the other ones and I have used them from time to time, but it is the Forest Fae one that has quickly become like part of my everyday practice. What I've been doing is every day to every 2 to 3 days, whenever I feel like I want to or when I'm ready or I need to, I've been drawing a new one of these cards, and then I've been keeping that on me and using it as my bookmark for the day. And the really cool thing is that I have noticed, even if I don't understand the message immediately or it doesn't seem that poignant to me, you know, that morning, by the end of the day, I've had people, you know, saying words to me as advice or just in passing that were on the deck. Like the message becomes clearer throughout the day or throughout the few days. And it has ended up being like a very poignant, almost mantra for me as I moved through that short period in my life. And then whether it's been a day or 2 or 3, I just have sort of gotten this feeling that I'm ready for the next card. And so I shuffle the deck again and draw a new card. And then that's my bookmark until I'm ready for a new one. So for example, the first card I drew from this deck was the Gatekeeper, which says, "Let go, all things are possible at the borderlands." And I sort of identified with this a little bit with the borderlands because I was sort of moving from one job to the next. But over the next 2 days, the next 48 hours, I had 3 different people say to me, "Let go. You need to let go of a particular situation and something going on in my life." And so this card just kept popping up in my like frame of reference and in my conversations. And so through that, it became so much more potent and meaningful. And for those few days, it felt like it was like a little guide helping me through. And I do think that although these decks are great value for money, they're quite affordable for what you get. I think they're great production and that production quality is equal across all 3. The Forest Fae has to be the best value for money just in terms of what you get. Like you're essentially getting, you know, just a bit of a different shaped Oracle deck with unique artwork on every single card. The other 2 decks are lovely, don't get me wrong, I'm glad to have them and I have used them a little bit from time to time. But I think this one is really quite special and I'm really excited to have this one in my life. I'm not really sure if I have a desire to pick up any of the others. I mean, like that collector in me sort of wants all of them, you know, got to catch them all, but I don't think I'm really going to be on the hunt for any new ones. That is, unless there's more that have different images on each card like the Forest Fae does. And if you know of any of these little Rockpool decks that, you know, are more Oracle decks than they are Affirmation decks, please let me know in the comments below. I do think these little Affirmation decks, the Secret Garden and the Whispering Woods, like they're done very well. I do quite like the little messages that they give you. I think I will find a use for them, whether that's using them as bookmarks or even I've actually found affirmation decks that I don't end up using a lot. I like to add a little affirmation in maybe if I'm sending someone a letter or a card. I think that's like a nice little touch. I mean, yes, obviously that means that you're sort of like getting rid of the deck slowly over time and it's not so much usable anymore. But I don't know, I think little affirmations decks like this can be cute in that way. I think also like using them as bookmarks, I might not do that with my more expensive special Oracle decks, but because these are very affordable, I'm not too worried about them getting lost or damaged. Like obviously I'm going to try and do my best to take care of them, but you know what I mean? I'm not so precious about them. And they just like the shape of them and the size of them makes a great little bookmark. I do think the Secret Garden and the Whispering Woods are lovely, but for me, the Forest Fae is the one with by far the most personality and I think the best bang for your buck. The artwork's lovely. It doesn't feel like it was rushed or like because it was a mini deck, it wasn't taken as seriously. And even though it is very clearly Fae, it still has, I don't know, a particular spin on it, you know? It doesn't feel like every Fae deck I've ever seen. There's something quite unique about it. I really like the titles. I like the messages, that it doesn't feel like every other Oracle and Affirmation deck. I don't know, I'm really kind of very pleasantly surprised by this one in particular. So I know that these are old news in the Oracle and Tarot world, but I wanted to share with you my mini haul, my last day at work haul, and tell you what I think of these decks. So those are my thoughts on the 3 cute little decks that I picked up on my last day at work. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear in the comments below if you've had an experience with any of these decks or if there are any other little mini Rockpool decks that you think I should keep an eye out for. As always, these videos are brought to you by the wonderful, generous, kind people over on my Patreon. They support me monetarily so that I can continue to make these videos available for free for all of you. And an especially big thank you goes to my high tier patrons, Livia, Lynette Brown, Laurie, and Ian Yitzhak. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you for watching. I look forward to talking to you in the comments and I'll see you in the next video. So much love. Bye.